What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we'll be doing a full $25 penny box hunt, and I would like to give a shout out to NF String & Son. They are so kind as to make sure that their packaging has holes in the bottom so you can actually inspect to see whether or not you're going to get circulated coins or not. And I know with pennies, dimes, and nickels in particular, I get a lot of brand new 21, 22, 23 coins, so this saves me a lot of time. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this box open and get into these rolls. All right, well, we've got the box open. We've got the flaps all rubber banded down here, but before we jump into these, I wanted to go through some of the equipment for you new coin roll hunters that you're going to need to successfully hunt pennies. From order of importance, I would say one of the number one things is you're going to need some kind of digital scope. I use one from OPQPQ. I've done a review of this particular scope on my channel. This one's pretty high dollar. They make lots of these scopes that are more in the $40, $50, $60 range. This particular one's about $250, but it was given to me for free for doing a review. You're going to want something like that. I just lost my rubber band too. It just popped. Look at that. You are going to want some sort of digital scale that reads out to at least 1/10 of a gram, and you're going to want that so you can weigh those really dirty coins and your 1982s to see if they're made of zinc or made of copper, because your zinc pennies are 2.5 grams, your copper pennies are 3.1 gram. You're going to want some sort of little cup to put those copper pennies in, because you're going to find a whole lot of them, typically, in a bank box of pennies. And the last and probably the most important thing, you need some kind of search list. And I have this in a document in the description down below this video. It's a nice little map that gets basically shows all the things that I currently look for. Now, if you saw my recent quarter video, I did talk about this new Strike It Rich with Pocket Change guide that I recently picked up. And this book has tons and tons and tons of great pictures of the things you're looking for, the current value, whether they're circulated or uncirculated. This is a fantastic book, and I'll make sure that I link to this book in the description down below as well. I think this is a great resource if you're going to start coin roll hunting any modern pocket change. I did verify this book covers only 1959 to current. For pennies, it covers 1938 and up for nickels. And I believe it's mainly Washington quarters. It does do half dollars, Susan B. Anthony, and Ike dollars as well. So this is a great resource. So with that said, we've talked long enough. Let's go ahead and get into a few rolls. All right, well, let's go ahead and do our first roll on camera here. I will take roll number 1. We've got some darker pennies on each end. Now, pennies, there's a lot of penny hunters out there that really just hunt through these things looking for wheat pennies. I think that does a disservice to hunting through pennies, because there are so many mint errors and varieties out there that could be worth really, really big dollars. Now, keep in mind, many of those errors are extremely rare, and you're not likely to find too many of them in your lifetime, but imagine finding a penny worth $150 or $200 or $300 or $1,000 or $10,000, because those pennies exist. I want to say the most valuable penny I have ever found was about $150, and it was on a 1988 transitional error, and it came in decent enough shape that I think if I were to get it graded, I would probably get $150 to maybe $180 on it. So I'm not going to explain what I'm doing here necessarily, because it is kind of hard, because pennies are small and there's so much to look for, but I'm culling my copper out here to the right or to the left. Anything that I want to scope, I will go ahead and scope. And then any specific years that I'm looking for things, I'm going to just kind of eyeball them for this quick first pass. And I may put them under the scope on a second pass. So anyway, not seeing any Wheaties in here straight away. I'll go back through this thing off camera and spend a little bit more time on it, because you do typically have to spend a lot more time on your pennies. There's like a 78, so I know that's copper. Your copper did start in 1982. That's an 89, and you can see how a zinc penny can age over time to look like a copper. So you can't just judge it based on the color, because copper can also be bright red. And that's actually the condition that you want it in. because those are worth the most. I'm gonna look at that again under the scope off camera. All right, well, not a whole lot to see in this first roll. Hopefully we'll find a bit more. Well, there's a 2009. Now the 2009s did come in 4 commemorative reverses. This is the formative years, and this one does have a DDR. It's an extra thumb error. This one doesn't have it. I just put it under the scope. But that extra thumb error can be worth a few bucks, and it is in the Strike It Rich guide, and it is on my list. Now, this is a 1982 large date, and you can see it is made of copper because we're up here at 3.1 grams, so we're going to put that in that pile. All right, and just to 1996. All right, well, I'm going to go off camera. I'll go through these one more time with a little bit more discerning eye. I just wanted to get through them quickly here on camera. And we'll keep going through the rolls, and as I find things that are valuable, I'll bring you in and we'll talk all about it. So we're on roll number 5, and we haven't found a whole lot. A couple of more of the 2009 commemoratives. We've got the early childhood and 2 of the formative years. I did pull 2 coins that I do want to show you just because they've got some interesting things on them, but I'm not sure. I haven't been able to match it to, well, one of them I know what it is. The other one I haven't been able to match it to anything that would be like a known error. But I'm basically bringing you in here because we've got our first foreign, and it looks like it's an old one. I forget what they call this, the George Head or something like that, because it's obviously Canadian. Let's see here. We've got a 1941 Canadian penny. So this is by far the oldest penny of the hunt. This would be a wheat penny if we were into U.S. currency. So pretty cool. We'll put it up here with the rest of our coins. What I did want to show you is in the beginning of the video, I talked about, zinc doubling, and I see it on Facebook all the time. People talking about finding doubling, and it ends up being, I think, either blistering or plate doubling, I think they call it. And I've got a really good example of it here. So, and I do have to put my finger over the image here to help with the, well, actually right there you can see it. You can see the outline of another 2, a 0, a 2, a 0. You can even see a second D, maybe almost even a third D, because you've got a little bit of material here, here, and here. But I do believe that this would be your very, very specific plate doubling, in that that copper plate over the zinc is just blistering a little bit. And you can see it on almost all of the lettering. So this is the kind of thing that I think, a new coin roll hunter would find, get real excited about, and then discover that it's really not all that rare. And sorry about that. I meant to bring you in for this one because it's just interesting. And I honestly, I think this is a some sort of die error, like a die chip error. This is a 1994. And you'll see on here, and I couldn't find this in the Strike It Rich book. I didn't see it on Variety Vista. I compared it to a bunch of other 1994s, and this little bit of metal right here is not supposed to be there, along with all the metal that comes up here along the edge. That column should be really kind of looking like the rest of these. So this is some sort of die error. I don't know if there's any value here. The coin's not in great shape, but I wanted to show you guys this one because it was just something interesting and something I had never seen before. Up here on roll number 11, I'm bringing you in for our next find. I just got the roll laid out. We've got our next foreign. It's another Canadian. This one is, I think they call this the Young Head. Maybe not. 1983 Canadian cent, and I'm pretty sure this one's either 95 or 99% copper, but we'll take it. So we are up here on a roll number 13, and the coin I want to show you isn't here, and it's not on my discards. I've actually already got it underneath the scope, and it's the first penny Double Die Obverse I have found in a long, long time. Got it here under the scope already. Just I wanted to get it set up so you could see it. I know this doesn't look like a whole lot, but I've looked at a lot of 2015s of late, and this one is definitely thicker. Right? So, and we've also got some oblong shape. You'll notice you got a thin mark here, or a thin part here, and a thin part here, and a thickening of the 5. So what I want to do is get the Strike It Rich with pocket change book out, and we're going to have a look at the picture of that 2015 in the book to this image I have right here of this 2015 penny. All right, well, here we are, the 2015. We can look for extra thickness on the ERTY and 2015. According to this book, in circulated condition, we're talking $3 to $5 coin, and uncirculated $12 to $25. Now, also some little notes down here. There's over 30 different versions of this 2015 doubled obverse. But the main thing I wanted to call out here was if you look, like I said, we were just looking at a thicker 5, a thicker 2, and you've got those thin parts in the, call it the 11 o'clock and maybe the 5 o'clock portions of the 0. Here's a close-up of it. Here's a thickening of the 5. And if we pull this up and look at mine, it looks very, very, very similar. Thin parts here, thick top part of 2, thick 5. I'm like 99% sure we have it. They also talk about a thickening of the T and the Y, or maybe even the ERTY. So let's have a look at that. I've actually already seen it, so I know. It too is also a little bit on the thick side. And you'll see here, extra wide on the T, almost a doubling of the T. You can see right here where it goes in and comes back out. Same thing, there's a little tiny notch there on the Y. So I am like 99% sure that's what we have. I'm going to trust the book for right now and say $3 to $5. I'll check out eBay before the end of the video and see what this penny could command. As I was putting my 2015 up here, which I forgot to kind of show you under a regular camera, it's actually in really pretty darn good shape. I've seen much worse pennies for being in circulation, so I'm not ready to guess a grade on it. But as I was putting it up here, it reminded me that earlier, it was probably roll 10 or 11. I pulled this 1971D copper. It looks like we've got a little bit of a grease strike. And again, that's something I'm going to check out on eBay because these kinds of things, they could be worth 10 cents or they could be worth $20, just depending on how common they are. If it's worth anything more than a penny, I don't even need to put it under the scope for you to see that the eye is missing and a good deal of the eye up here is missing as well. But I'll put it under the scope just to help. And I'm going to back out here a little bit. There you go. Turn those lights off there. You'll see this eye is completely missing. I mean, this coin's not in great shape. It's been around since 1971. But you'll see even up here, we've got a little post-mint damage, but we've got enough grease coming in here that the eye is mostly gone. So this is another one I'm going to look up before the end of the video. We'll, in the wrap-up, talk about if there's any value here, but I didn't want to toss it back just in case it was something. All right, well, we're just getting into roll number 20. We're actually only about 5 or 6 pennies in, and we come across this penny. Now, I've already looked at it. I just put it back where I found it. We've got a penny that's a little ugly on the front. The details are still really, really nice, but we've got some, I don't know if that's burn marks or environmental damage or what, but it's a 2000. The back still looks really, really nice. And on the 98, 99, and 2000, we are looking for what is known as the wide AM. It's actually a transition error because they transition the reverses from close AM to wide AM or wide AM to close AM during this time period. And some of these were struck with the wrong reverse dies. So you can see here we've got a lot of space between the A and the M, and on every other 98, 99, and 2000, these things are really just about touching. And I'll show you what that looks like in the Strike It Rich book here in just a second. But the thing you need to make most sure of is that if you have that wide AM, you've also got the close FG, because the spread between the A and the M can be caused by die deterioration, which I have found that in the past as well. So if you've got wide AM and an FG that's really far away, that is not the variety. That's actually caused by some other die error. Like a die, not die error, but like die deterioration. So I've got the book out here that already to the page just to show you. Now, according to Strike It Rich, we are letters AM of American, designer's initials FG, wider gap, FG closer to the base, circulated condition $10 to $15, uncirculated $35 to $50. So that's why we want to keep our eye out for this one. And there is the picture of that AM. And this is what the normal business strike looks like. You can see that A and that M are just about kissing. So we want to find that space, which we have. So by the end of the video, I'll throw an eBay comp up here too, knowing that my penny is not in the best of condition, or at least it's not that beautiful. I'll check out the details to be sure. But I'm liking this already. I'd rather find a couple of pretty good dollar varieties than a bunch of 40s and 50s wheat pennies. Well, we are 26 rolls in, and I cannot believe what I see in front of me, but I spy a wheat penny. Came up reversed facing. It actually looks pretty good, considering it has to be 58 and earlier. Let's check it out here. 1947 Denver. So, as I said earlier in the video, I do get lots of 40s and 50s. This might be an upgrade to some of the pennies in my books, but I'm not real hopeful. But one wheat penny on the box. Hopefully these last 24 rolls provide some more. So I'm down to my last 10 rolls, and I just wanted to bring in to show you I really haven't found much to speak of. We haven't really added much to the board of interest. Now, I haven't really talked about it in any of my earlier little clips where I've brought you in, but we have found a bunch more 2009s than usual. We've got 5 of the professional life, 4 of the early childhood, 3 of the formative years. The only one we're missing is the Capitol Dome, and I've got 1 or 2 that are pretty nice as well. I've checked them all for potential DDRs, and none of them have it. And then I've been pulling just a handful of little kind of stunners, nice red coins that could be upgrades for my book. All zinc coins. I don't think I have any in here that are going to be copper, but they were all coins I either need or they might be upgrades, so I've pulled those. The only other story in here, because I don't have anything on the mat to show you, is the copper hunt is going really, really well. My scale tops out at 800 grams, and I've already gone over that in this cup in these first 40 rolls. So with that, we're going to keep on hunting. We know we're going to get a lot more copper, but hopefully we can find some wheat pennies, because typically I find kind of 5 to 8 in a box, and so far I'm only got 1. So fingers crossed, I'm going to get into roll number 41, and hopefully I get to bring you in before we get to the end. Well, I did say I hoped we found some more wheat pennies, and here we are with into roll number 42, and just a couple of pennies in, we've got our next wheat penny. Came up reverse facing. I haven't looked at it yet. It's actually in pretty decent shape, at least on the reverse. We've got ourselves a 1940. Pretty nice little wheat penny. That's 2 40s on the box. We're down to our final 5 rolls on roll number 46, and we've come across our next wheat penny, and it is an ugly one. Came up obverse facing here. We have a 1944, and I can't really see a mint mark on that thing. And I don't know what corrosion is all over it, but it is ugly. Let's see if we have a mint mark. I'm not really seeing one, so we're just going to call it a 1944 and move on. We'll bring you back in. 4 rolls from the end here, so roll number 47, and this box is determined to get us to the average. This one was reverse facing. We've got ourselves another 1944 to go with our really ugly 1944. Well, we have reached the end of the box, and we kind of covered the greater majority of this as we went through, so I'm going to try to wrap this up pretty quickly for you guys, and I'm going to talk about eBay comps on a little bit of this stuff, and we've got a couple, actually, of book upgrades and book fillers, well, really 1 of each, and we'll talk about those as well, but we did get 3 Canadians. I covered each one, I believe, during the middle of the video and how much copper was in each, but it looked like we got all 3. We got a King George. We got a, like, small head, or a young head, depending on which one you prefer, and one of the old heads, or large heads, if you want to call it that. So you can see different dies on those and different images of the Queen. We did end up with 4 wheat pennies, which is a little bit low for most of my boxes. And as we went through these, we did have 1 surprise. And you could see it under the microscope. I did put this under a little bit of water to try to make it a little easier to see. It didn't really clean it up much. But even if you go back to the middle of the video and look, this does in fact have an S mint mark. So we have a 1944 S in our hunt as well, not 2 1944s. And I can't remember which one it is. We'll get the book out here in a minute. I think it's this 1947D wheat penny that we found. Will end up being a book filler for us. So it'll be nice to fill 1 more hole in our wheat album. We'll come back to these in a second. Let's talk about the commemorative Lincoln pennies. We did end up with 5 of the early childhoods and 1 really, really nice one. I normally don't get them in this nice of a condition, so I may go ahead and hang on to this one, even though I do have rolls of BU versions of this. I'll hang on to that one. We did get 4 of the formative years. None of them have the DDR. And we did get 6 of the professional life. And again, this is one I'm going to hang on to. Normally don't find them in this kind of condition and circulation. But this one came out really, really nicely. We are going to have 1 upgrade for our book. This 2015 Denver, while still not great, it's nicer than the one we have in the books. And I'll show you those here in just a second. The last couple of things I want to cover is our copper. We did end up with, and I've got my scale up here, we did end up with 2.2 pounds worth of copper. Now, the cup does weigh 11 grams. We're going to ignore that for right now because we do have some additional copper here on the table that's not part of that weight. But at 2.2 pounds, we're talking $7.60, almost 3 cents, $7.62.6 cents worth of copper in this hunt, which is a lot of copper. Copper right now is at $3.78 a pound. So pretty cool. As for our finds, I'll put eBay comps as we go through these. This 2000, I wish we didn't have the blackness on the front. I don't want to try to clean it or anything, but looking on eBay, I found where this was, if I recall, you know, depending on condition, this might be a $3 coin, it might be a $5 coin, it might be a $10 coin. So it was kind of all over the place, but I'll put comps of what I found on the screen. I'm just really happy to find a verifiable wide AM because I have found ones in the past that I thought were wide AM and they weren't. So this is something that I'll flip up and hang on to. As for condition, I'm going to try to get up close. You can see we still have really nice condition. We just don't have that nice red finish. And that just looks like some string or something on there. That's not in the coin itself. Now, this 2015 Double Die Obverse, which we looked under the scope midway through the video, again, the price on this is all over the place, and I'll put the comps on the screen that I found. Again, you know, anywhere from a couple of bucks to somewhere, you know, in the $10, $15 range, and I actually found some that were higher. This coin's in really, really nice shape. It is still red. You know, we've got some marks on it, but from a detail perspective, I think it still looks fantastic. So maybe this is AU, maybe it's mint state. You guys, if you have a feeling about it, let me know in the comments down below. The 2020D was a great example of plate doubling. So it's that zinc plating that looks funny. We did also have a grease strike error where the eye is missing from both N and Liberty, and I'll throw some comps for your sort of very similar type grease strikes on the screen here so you can see what something like this is worth. If I recall, again, anywhere from like $3 to $5 on something like this. And yes, I did find some that were $1 or $1.50, but the ones I'm showing you are recent ones that look very similar to this coin. And last but not least, I couldn't find anything about this coin. We did look at it under the scope. I'll put it back up here again. This 1994. You know, we've obviously got something going on with like a die chip, and none of that's supposed to be there. And it does have it vaguely look kind of like this, right? So I don't know what's going on with this penny. If you do, let me know in the comments down below. But this is another one we're just going to flip up and call it a die chip error. And again, not in great shape, but something I will, you know, if it is worth something, maybe we'll end up trying to sell it one day on eBay or something like that. Let me put you over top. Actually, you know what? What I'm going to do here is while I'm doing my outro, I'll give you guys a look at the books while we're filling in those couple of holes. But if you are new to the channel and you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop on down below and click that subscribe button, and then click that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. If you enjoyed this video, whether you're new or old, make sure you do leave me a comment down below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Also, click that like button while you're down there. It really helps out the channel a ton. Anyway, this was the first box of pennies for 2024, and we started it, in my opinion, with a bang by finding a couple of actual varieties rather than just a bunch of wheat pennies. So I really did enjoy this video. Pennies just take me a very long time to do, especially using the new Strike It Rich book, because there's just so many things that I wasn't looking for before that I am now. And at some point in the next week or two, I will update my online search list to include some of those things. Special shout out to all my channel members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel each and every month. I really, really appreciate it. We've had a couple of new members here in the last few weeks, and your name should be up on the screen. With that, I didn't get any half dollars this week that I've been able to find. The two banks that were supposed to get them didn't. I have a box of dollars waiting for me at the bank, and hopefully we can get those. My daughter does have a volleyball tournament all weekend, so won't get a chance to do much filming, but hopefully I'll be able to get something out early next week. So with that, you guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.